The Rangers entered this weekend with a chance to make up some ground in this AL wildcard race. Instead, they blow it in spectacularly stupid fashion.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about this stupid series in Seattle, why the Rangers now have a closer problem and maybe even an ace problem, and why nobody but Jacob DeGrom really is owed the majority of the blame in this final loss of this abysmal series. Before we get into all of that, this episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Now, the Rangers lose 3 out of 4 and nearly lost all 4 games, but they also nearly won all 4 games in Seattle. Well, at least 3 out of 4. They were close and should have won, including having a lead late in these games that the bullpen that just got upgraded with 2 very good additions in Danny Coulombe and in Phil Maton. These should have been wins. On Sunday, when you're throwing your ace out there in a must-win game to salvage a split in a very tough series that you shot yourself in the foot, in the knee, in the everywhere. You just shot yourself in the everywhere this weekend. First game of this series, okay, Kumar Rocker has a kind of bad day. That Jake Latz has a really, really bad day, and the rest of this pen also has bad days, and the offense just can't do anything. Fine. You lose some of those in Seattle. The Rangers lose a lot of these games in Seattle. But on Friday's game, having a lead going into the bottom of the 9th inning with your closer facing the bottom third of the order, mostly left-on-left matchups, to lose that one, incredibly stupid. Should have won the third game of this series, if not for Simone's self-inflicted wounds. And then you throw your ace out there against the Mariners' worst starting pitcher on Sunday, and your ace gives up 5 runs in the second consecutive game, despite getting extra rest twice in these last 2 games. DeGrom has been just shelled by the home run ball in what was a horrible week for the Rangers. Now, the trade deadline went well. The Rangers got Merrill Kelly. They got a couple of good relievers to bolster this bullpen that has been worked very, very hard, including their closer, or maybe not their closer anymore, Robert Garcia. But they still can't get the wins in this one, despite scoring what should have been enough offense in most of these games. 0 runs will not get you many wins, but the rest of these games, the Raiders absolutely should have won. But I want us to talk about the good stuff first, the good stuff of the additions that look pretty darn good for the most part in their first few games with the Rangers. With Merrill Kelly, the one game that the Rangers won went to extra innings, and Merrill Kelly was absolutely cruising through 5 innings. He could not be touched. Into the day with 4 hits allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Nobody walked, couple of runs allowed, both of them earned, both of them his fault, and 6 strikeouts, a 3.22 ERA on the season, a pretty darn good showing for Merrill Kelly. Even though he only threw 69 pitches and 48 of those were strikes, he really got himself into trouble, allowing both those runs in the 6th inning on just some weird plays. I mean, balking home a runner because he didn't realize that he had stepped off and threw over for the 3rd disengagement with runners on the corners. And then just a little bit of an unraveling of throwing the ball to third base with 2 outs. And all you had to do was throw that ball to first and get the runner out there and be out of the inning. And then maybe they could have gone into the 7th inning. At that point, the Rangers would have had to use even less of their bullpen. I don't know exactly how that would have gone. Maybe he could have worked his way out of giving up any runs in that game, but mostly a pretty good showing for Merrill Kelly, who is durable, who is reliable, who is a guy who you can trust in October. I mean, this was a quality start for him. I know it might not technically count as a quality start because he was one out shy, but this was a very, very good outing from Merrill Kelly. This is the best starting pitcher that was on the trade market. Well, at least the best starting pitcher that actually got traded this season. Merrill Kelly. Yes, Merrill Kelly. And the Rangers got him to fortify what has been a mostly incredible rotation. I mean, the top of your rotation in Jacob DeGrom, last start notwithstanding, and Nathan Eovaldi, who has been absolutely sensational, to go with the depth of everybody else, including if you eventually get back a Tyler Mahle, which I have heard nothing about, and every day that I hear more nothing about Tyler Mahle, the more I'm convinced that we're just not going to see him for the rest of this year. I just think that might end up being Mahle's fate. I hope to be wrong. I very much hope to be wrong. But you throw Merrill Kelly into this rotation, and it makes it even that much more formidable. Even if you get no Mahle for the rest of this year, you head into a postseason series. If you get there, because the Rangers are not in a postseason spot right now, they're not that far out of it. This weekend was awful. This week was awful, but the Rangers are only 2 games behind the Mariners for that third wild card spot, which they have very much lost the tiebreaker because they cannot beat the Mariners at all this year. In Seattle, in Arlington, does not matter, especially the West Coast. This team just cannot play West Coast games. I don't know what it is, but the games in Anaheim before the break, the games in Anaheim this past week that the Rangers just floofed up, I mean, should have won 4 more games this week. Should have won 4 more. They only won 2 and 5. And they should have won most of these games against these teams, because I still think when this team's right, when they're not playing on the stupid West Coast and not having a not getaway day in the finale of a series against the Angels, which is still incredibly wild. I mean, both of those coming right before big series against crucial AL West rivals. The first one before that series where the Rangers went to Houston and still ended up taking 2 out of 3. And then the last one before this weekend series against the Seattle Mariners, as well as just night games after the trade deadline. Just absolutely brutal, murderous. But this team is still in position to make a run if they can just play slightly better on the road. Just slightly better. They're still just 2 games out of it. And the Astros got swept this weekend. They got swept by the Boston Red Sox. So if the Rangers had won, one more of these games, then they'd be 1 game out of the final wild card spot. Heck, even right now, they're only 2.5 back of the New York Yankees for that second wild card spot. They're 4 back of the Red Sox for the top wild card spot after the Red Sox are on a 5-game winning streak. And the Astros are 2-8 in their last 10 games. They have been bad. And they're about to face Miami, who just swept the Yankees, who the Rangers welcome to town. And if the Rangers end up sweeping the Yankees, which is a big if, but this team has played massively great baseball at home, you take out this week's series withstanding in the second half, then maybe the Rangers have a shot to gain more of that ground. But it wasn't just Merrill Kelly, who the Rangers acquired at the deadline. It was also Danny Coulombe, who had an incredible series, a little bit sticky in that Saturday game, working himself into trouble and then out of trouble with 2 just massively needed strikeouts on beautifully painted called third strikes on both Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena. Just great bits of pitching from him there. 2 scoreless innings in his first 2 outings in big moments for this Rangers team. And not just Coulombe, but also Phil Maton working 2 scoreless outings, looking incredible while doing so. Maybe he is the solution to the Rangers and their closer problem. I mean, Maton just looked absolutely untouchable against there's been a very improved Mariners lineup. I was very impressed by what their lineup did. I still think the Rangers lineup, if it's hitting and if Jock Peterson finds a time machine or a fountain of youth or a Slim Jim and maybe gets a little bit closer to the version of Jock Peterson we expected, maybe that will boost this Rangers offense to being closer to the best offense in the AL West, which right now They are not. And right now they're having problems with their closer. But the one guy who got the save in this one, Luis Curvelo, shout out to Luis Curvelo coming in two, not just one, but two extra inning games or two close situations that he really just saved the Rangers bacon on, getting the win, getting what would have been a save if he had come in the bottom of that inning. But he works out of the jam that Robert Garcia put him in, gets his first big league win against the team that said, you know what, you're not worth the 40-man roster spot. We're just going to let you go. And the Rangers picked him up, and it seems like they might have a guy who I don't know if he's going to be the Rangers closer, but he's going to get some high leverage outs, and he deserves it after that incredible performance by Luis Curvelo. But the Rangers have a problem at closer right now. What are they going to do about it? Why has it gotten so bad? And were there any better options at the trade deadline? Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it on with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavors of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or even off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Whether you're staying up late for a West Coast game or you just did not get any sleep because there was a massive storm in DFW, you just were not sleeping well, 5 Hour Energy is the way to wake yourself up and keep your energy going. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, we'll be talking about the first game of this series against the New York Yankees. Probably talking a little bit about some roster moves that I think the Rangers will end up making and maybe a change in the closer role because the Rangers need it. Oh my goodness, what a horrible weekend for Robert Garcia. The Rangers closer, although probably not closer for very much longer, gave up two, not just one, but two massive 2-run bombs in situations where the Rangers should have been able to close it out. With a 2-run lead or a 1-run lead on Friday, gives up the walk-off bomb to J.P. Crawford, and then gives up just an absolute moonshot to Randy Arozarena in the 10th inning of a game that the Rangers had already gotten the lead in extra innings. They had done their job. They had not just gotten 1 run, but they had gotten 2 runs, which should have been fine. Should have been more than fine. Even if you let the runner score from second base, that zombie runner in the 10th inning, you're fine. You still get out of it with the win. You still get out of it with the save, and everything is hunky-dory. But everything has not been hunky-dory for Robert Garcia in this closer's role. He has 9 saves in 14 opportunities. He was 9 for 12 heading into this weekend, which a 75% closing rate save rate is fine. It's good. That's about what you're targeting. But giving up these two, and even he hadn't had a problem with the home run ball until this series. He had 3 home runs given up in 40, I think, innings before this weekend. Maybe it wasn't even 40. Maybe it was 41 innings. I think it was 41 and a third innings, I think, if I'm getting technical. But this weekend was a problem. He also has 11 holds, a 3.21 ERA, a pretty good reliever. I mean, striking out more than a batter per 9, not walking too many, around 3 walks per 9, and not really having a big home run problem. But just when he blew it and how he blew these saves was just awful. The Friday loss is worse than the Saturday game, because at least the Saturday game, the Rangers were able to claw out of it and get a win in this 4-game series where they should have taken at least 2, if not 3 out of 4 against this Mariners team at a crucial time to just step on the gas and go for it. But not only just blowing the save, but throwing a pitch like that to JP Crawford, giving up the leadoff single. It was the bottom of the ninth inning, a one-run game, a close game where the Rangers probably should have scored some more runs. They probably should have scored just a few more runs, put any runs on either Gabe Spire or Matt Brash or Bizzardo either. But the Rangers weren't able to do it. They were not great with runners in scoring position on the day or even on the weekend, just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position, scoring all 3 of their runs in that game in the third inning, and then that was it. But that honestly kind of should have been enough. I mean, Jack Leiter had a really good game. The final line doesn't really show it. He walked in 1 run, and the other run that he gave up was given up by Hobie Milner, who came in and allowed a base runner. And, if not for a challenge, then might have gotten out of it with just 1 run on his line. I really think Leiter absolutely wanted to finish off that inning, even though he was already at 92 pitches. I think the Rangers were saving him from himself a little bit because they had such a good bullpen, such a rested bullpen, who for the most part has been very good. They wanted to get him out of that, but I think right now you cannot put Robert Garcia back out there. This was his 4th blown save of the season, and then his 5th blown save of the season. And going 7 for what, 14, I think it is at that point, is much worse than 9 for 14 is much worse than going 9 for 12. It's not horrible. It's not horrible by any means, but it's not good, and it's not what the Rangers are going for. The Rangers have a lot of blown saves on the season, but the vast majority of those go to Luke Jackson, who is no longer with this team. I think he might actually be in AAA. I don't know where exactly Luke Jackson is, but he's not in the Rangers closer role. He's not. And you may be thinking, well, the Rangers didn't trade for a closer. They should have traded for a closer. Well, go look at some of the closers that got traded. Go look at what the Yankees did. They traded for 2 closers in David Bednar, and they also traded for Camilo Doval of the San Francisco Giants. And they also traded for another reliever who I wanted in Jake Bird. And those 3 in their first game with the Yankees combined to allow, I believe it was 8 runs, maybe it was as many as 10 runs to the Marlins. The Marlins. Closers are weird. Relievers are weird. It is a very unpredictable thing. And I don't think that the closer role is just this mystical thing that you have to have closer experience to do it. It's tough out there throwing in the 8th inning in leverage situations. It's tough out there throwing in the 7th inning. Heck, sometimes it's tougher throwing in the 6th inning of a big spot than it is locking down a clean 9th inning. And the Rangers have just overall a really good pen. Whenever Chris Martin gets back, I will see when that exactly is. I think we're still about a week at minimum away from Chris Martin returning to maybe more. I don't think we're going to see Jacob Webb in those opportunities. Whenever he gets off the IL, we're still quite a ways away from Jacob Webb getting off the IL, and we'll see exactly what these bullpen roles look like. Maybe the Rangers end up giving Sean Armstrong some chances to close. They've already done that this year. He's got 3 saves on the season. He's done a good job in that role. Jacob Webb has a save on the season. But the Rangers have equally distributed these saves to a lot of different people. Heck, Caleb Bosley has one. That was not a traditional save situation, but Martin has a couple. Jacob Latz has one. I think that might have also been of the 3 save variety. I mean, Robert Garcia has 9 and Luke Jackson has 9. They have pretty evenly distributed these different save opportunities to different guys. And I think that Phil Maton and Danny Coulombe could end up getting shots in that closer's role. But I think that too much gets put on just being a closer, trading for a closer. Because how can a guy be a closer until he gets save opportunities? It's like a person fresh out of college trying to apply for entry-level jobs, and the entry-level job saying, hey, well, you can't apply until you have more experience. And the person's like, hey, well, how am I supposed to get experience if nobody gives me a chance? Now, there is something to be said for going and getting guys who know what it's like to pitch that 9th inning. Maybe it is a different beast. Maybe it's not. And maybe a contending team is not the place to start giving chances to guys who haven't closed before. But eventually somebody needs to close these games. And if you've got a guy who's had success in the 7th or 6th or 8th inning of leverage spots with the lead, not blowing it, then I think those have got to be your closers. But it wasn't just on the closer this weekend. I mean, Robert Garcia had a bad day. That loss on Friday, that's mostly on him. It's not 100% on him because the offense could have scored more runs. They could have made it not a safe situation. And, Jack Leiter could have pitched a little deeper into the game and done a little bit better of a job of limiting those base runners. I really did love what Jack Leiter did, bouncing back from that tough inning, the Rangers giving him those 3 runs and then him saying, all right, bet, I'm buckling down. I am attacking these guys. They cannot touch my stuff. I mean, the fastball was just so untouchable by those Mariners hitters. I love seeing Jack say, all right, here's my best stuff. Let me just let it rip and you guys can't touch it. And for the most part, they couldn't. And I love seeing that development from Jack Leiter because that is such a difficult thing for a young pitcher to do. And Jack Leiter, even though he didn't have the best start of this weekend, he didn't have the worst. Somehow that came from the Rangers' best starter, Jacob DeGrom. Do the Rangers have a Jacob DeGrom problem? And what do the Rangers do about it if that is a problem? Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? Let's go check out some of these odds on FanDuel for the AL West. I'm sure it's getting a little tighter after the Mariners taking 2 out of 3 this weekend and the Rangers looking like poop and the Astros getting swept. Yeah, that is a lot closer. The Rangers right now at plus 600, the third favorite to win the AL West. If you're feeling really good about a miracle A's run, they're at plus 30,000 to win the AL West. Astros favored at minus 130, and the Mariners right in there at plus 150 to win this AL West. There's all kinds of other different things you can bet on. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you with a Locked On Rangers postcast coming to you live reaction after every single game. A tough late night stretch for him this week, but go check it out. He's got great stuff for you, reacting live to every single game in your Locked On Rangers postcast within the Locked On Rangers podcast feed on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the Rangers might just have a Jacob DeGrom problem, which is different from the Jacob DeGrom problem they had for the first 2 years, which was not having him on the mound. Now they might have kind of the opposite problem, and having him on the mound maybe too much, maybe not that much, but we're coming up on the limit of what we thought was possible for Jacob DeGrom. He has to be commended. He absolutely has to be commended for being healthy this year, making 22 starts, 128 and 2/3 innings. He has not eclipsed the even 100 inning mark since 2019, since before the pandemic. He was fully healthy basically every year of his career leading up to the pandemic. Even through the pandemic, he made all 12 starts in a 60-game season. He should have won his 3rd straight Cy Young Award. I think there was a little bit of voter fatigue. But after 2021, where he made 15 starts that year and 92 innings, he has not eclipsed that mark since then. Heck, he had 64 and a third innings in 2022, the year before the Rangers signed him. He was healthy heading into the offseason, so the Rangers felt good about that guarantee. But he had only 30 and a third innings in that first year with Texas before the Tommy John surgery. Then he had 3 starts and an out shy of 11 innings last year. And this year, the thought was heading into this season, best case scenario for Jacob DeGrom is 25 starts, 20 to 25 starts. We're already at 22 starts, and the ceiling of the innings limit was probably thought to be, at least I thought it to be 125 to 150 innings. And I was kind of banking in postseason included in that. We are at 128 and 2/3 innings already this year, 22 starts. And his ERA has ballooned up from a 2.2 to a 2.8 ERA in the last 2 starts because he allowed 5 runs in both of those innings. And it has been brutal. And for the most part, it's not been bad starts. It's just been the home run ball. A couple of home runs here and there, a couple of bad pitches, some sliders that did not slide, that just hung up there. 2 home runs in his last start, 7 hits. He worked around 8 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. And then in this start, he only allowed 4 hits in these 5 innings. He did allow 3 walks. And the bad part was he allowed 3 home runs. And 2 of those 3 home runs were right after 2-out walks, where he got to a full count and then could not put the guy away, ends up walking the guy, and then has one bad pitch that ends up making it a 2-run homer instead of a solo shot, which the first one was at least just a solo shot. And not only that, but the Rangers kept on rallying to give him the lead back in these games. They kept on rallying and rallying and rallying. I mean, he allows a solo shot in the second. They scored 2 runs, give him the lead in the third. Then he gives that right back up in the fourth inning. Rangers, end up rallying and tying the game back and getting that third run in the top of the fourth inning. And then in the bottom of the fourth inning, he goes and does the exact same thing and gives up a 2-run homer, and the Rangers are down 5-3. They end up clawing 1 run back in the sixth, but it just isn't enough. And the bullpen did a great job in that game. I mean, 2 shutout innings by Hoby Milner, a shutout inning by Cole Winn, where the Rangers were still in it, very much in it at that point, a 1-run deficit, pitching the bottom of the 8th inning with a couple of strikeouts and a perfect inning. Cole Winn just looked exceptional. I really think he might, I don't know if he's going to get some save opportunities, but he is going to continue to get higher and higher leverage opportunities the more success he has. His ERA in the season is down to 1.23, which is phenomenal. But the thing that bothered me after that Sunday game, not just losing, that really stuck in my craw, not just losing with Jacob DeGrom on the mound, which really stuck in my craw, but the fact that the one guy who really did that much offensively in this game was the one who was getting more than his fair share of the guff. Adolis Garcia. The Rangers had 6 hits in this game. They only had 1 walk. Adolis went 3 for 3 with a walk, with a homer, with a double. He scored a pair of runs, 2 of the Rangers' 4 runs in this one. And he was just absolutely lambasted by Bruce Bochy at the end of the game because he didn't slide into second base on a bobbled ball. That's it. The Rangers ended up getting out of it and losing this game despite having what could have been 2 base runners on a challenge. Initially, I believe he was ruled out, and then the Rangers challenged it because why the heck not? And he didn't slide into second base. Now, maybe if he slid into second base, he would have been safe. Maybe. It was a ball hit by Jock Peterson that was bobbled by shortstop J.P. Crawford, and Jock was safe at first because they didn't throw over there, and Adolis was maybe a little careless not sliding into second base. He said he thought he was going to be safe multiple times through a translator after this game, but Bruce Bochy just said that's flat out unacceptable. We can't do that. We absolutely cannot do that. You know what you really can't do? You can't have your ace give up 5 runs. You cannot have your ace give up 5 runs in a crucial game where you have a chance to go from a 3-1 series loss to a 2-2 series split. You end up still tied for a wild card spot at that point, as opposed to now 2 games out of a wild card spot. That's what you really cannot afford to do. Now, Adolis Garcia had a great game in this one, getting a solo shot, getting a double to just start some rallies, getting another single, and walking in this one. I mean, he had a pretty good day at the plate on Saturday as well. He had been in a little bit of a slump on this road trip, and getting his bat hot is a hugely crucial thing. But your DH, who goes 0 for 4 in this one, because this still counts as an 0 for with a strikeout, and just didn't do that much of anything this weekend or even this season, and still continues to get hugely high leverage spots. I mean, Adolis Garcia is not the person to get the ire of this team. The ire this weekend deserves to go to Robert Garcia. He deserves it. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think you should threaten him or do any kind of things that are just out of line. But if you're looking for blame for guys for losses this weekend, Jacob DeGrom, who, don't get me wrong, he is, I still think, the best pitcher on earth when he's right, when he's healthy. He's healthy. I think he's just fatigued. And I think that the Rangers, part of the reason, maybe even a big part of the reason why they traded for Merrill Kelly, I think a big part of it was innings limits for guys who are coming back from surgery. That includes the likes of Tyler Mahle, who we'll see if we see him again this season. I honestly have no idea. Jacob DeGrom, and Kumar Rocker as well, who was sent down to the minor leagues to make room for these additions, as well as Jacob Latz, who was also sent down to the minor leagues to make room for all 3 pitchers that the Rangers acquired. Now, I think that Rocker might get another start or 2, down the stretch this season. The Rangers have basically 2 months worth of games left. And I think just Jacob DeGrom needs an IL stint. The other thing is the Rangers need every single one of Jacob DeGrom's starts. They do. And they cannot afford to have him on the shelf for a couple weeks, but they're probably going to have to. If you're going to do it, I'd say maybe you wait and see if he can last it out through the back half of or at least make one more start, which would probably be against the Phillies. Maybe on Sunday. I mean, the Rangers have their rotation set up for this series against the Yankees with Patrick Corbin going on Monday. Then they have Nathan Eovaldi on Tuesday, and then they have a Jack Leiter going on Wednesday at this point, which means it would probably go Merrill Kelly, and then maybe DeGrom goes on Saturday and ends up going on 6 days rest as opposed to 7. But he had extra rest heading into that start against the Angels, who inexplicably saw him well and hit him pretty hard. And then he had, a little bit extra rest heading into this game against the Mariners, who inexplicably saw him and hit him hard, and the Rangers ended up losing it. It's just, I think that they just need a little bit more time to just give him some rest. The All-Star break, I thought, would give him enough rest. I mean, the Rangers threw him out there 20 times before the All-Star break. I thought there was no way in heck that Jacob DeGrom would be the Rangers' most durable starter this year, but he has been. And there's some other guys who are missing time as well. Evan Carter went on the IL with some back spasms. That's kind of low-key horrifying, was kind of just brushed under the rug of like, oh, yep, that's happening. That's not great. That's extra not great. It seems like he is probably only going to miss the 10 days allotted. But we had gone all year without any kind of back flare-up from Evan Carter. He had just been reworking things in the minor leagues and seemed to have done that. He seems to have struggled a little bit offensively the last couple weeks. I honestly can't remember the last time we saw an Evan Carter homer. Maybe this time this time off will get him some time to just get right. And the Rangers are about to see a bunch of left-handed starters this week. 2 against the Yankees, probably 2 against the Phillies. And they're really good lefty starters. And the Rangers might be without Josh Young for that series too, because Josh Young didn't play at all this weekend. The Rangers really could have used Josh Young's bat in this one. Maybe would have given them just that little bit more offense. I don't know what they're going to do with Jock Peterson. Honestly, I really don't, because he's making $18 million this year. He's got an option for, I believe, $18 million next year. There's a team option for the year after that. There's no way in heck the Rangers are picking that up, but it's a player option for next year, because there's no way in heck Jock Peterson declines that and gets more than that on the open market after being the worst hitter in all of baseball this season by a pretty darn wide margin. But the Rangers need their lefty masher in Josh Young up and hitting. We'll see what actually comes of it if he is able to actually play this week. The Rangers need him badly, very badly, in these games where the Rangers are trailing the Yankees in the wild card hunt, and they could make up ground and even take the Yankees spot if they win all 3. But they got to face 2 of the toughest lefty starters in the game this week. And we don't even know if an IL stint is going to happen for Josh Young or not with this calf strain. It is absolutely horribly timed. But sometimes that's the way things go. Jake Berger is on the mend. He has started a rehab assignment in Frisco. He did okay there. Maybe the Ranger will end up getting his bat back on Sunday's game for AAA Round Rock. Cody Freeman, who hits lefties pretty darn well and has been hitting like a monster ever since getting sent right back down to the minor leagues. I believe a 3-homer game in his first game back in AAA. He was lifted from his game on Sunday after 4 innings with no reason particular listed as to why he was pulled early. I think it's because he's heading to Arlington to fortify this roster, to be a guy who can hit against lefties and probably start some games out there in left field, because I don't think the Rangers are going to try out Alejandro Ozuna in left field. Maybe we'll see some Duran this week. He had a pretty crucial RBI to give the Rangers an extended lead in that 11th inning on Saturday. But we'll see. This is a crucial stretch, and this was a horrible weekend for the Rangers. It seems like they have more problems with their bullpen than they even thought before. But this is just incredibly frustrating. They are not out of it yet. But my goodness, do these games, this homestand, these 9 games against the Yankees, against the Phillies, against the Diamondbacks, 3 tough teams, 2 very tough teams, 1 not as tough team. They linger in a big, big way. They're going to have to do something they haven't done very much this year. Beat left-handed starters, and they're going to have to do it convincingly. and a lot, because these games are so darn important. They cannot afford to drop some in stupid fashion like they did this weekend. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.